everybody. Welcome to the Continental Divide. It is a D&D5e campaign set in an already built world, sort of. And these lovely players, minus Moth right now, should be back next week, but right now they're going to be. This is just session 0. So no real play tonight, really, but we're going to be introducing the world, introducing the characters, and really getting into all this goodness. So, if everyone wants to go around, we can introduce who you are, who you're playing, and I think that'll be a good way to start. So, I'm going to start with Rogue.
Hi, my name is Rogue. I use she and her pronouns, and I am playing Amalia. She is a fire genasi paladin, a vengeance paladin.
Zippy, what about you?
Hi, I am Zippy Zippo. I use he/him pronouns, and I'm playing Salem, the Grave Cleric.
My favorite cleric order, by the way, just FYI to everyone out there. The best one.
Toll the Dead is super good, and giving vulnerabilities to everything is great, because vulnerabilities is not a normal thing.
I love it. I love it. It's so good. That spare the dying at reach is clutch. Reader, what about you?
Hey, I'm Reader. I use he/him pronouns, and I'm going to be playing Wednesday, a human bard who uses they/them.
Our one human out of the bunch.
It's the first human I've ever made.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Oh,
So we're going to start off. I'm going to explain a little bit about the world, and then we can get into any kind of backstory bits you guys wanted to reveal early, any kind of things you guys wanted to change about the world, any things you wanted to add. The thing with this is I really wanted, all of you to have your say in this world that you're going to be playing in, because I think that makes you more, tied into the game that you're going to be playing if you have, that's something that you've made. So we start out in the world of Ilsopia, that has been split into 2 continents. And above you, for the past year, little bit over a year, wherever you are in this world, you have seen that where the sky used to shine this bright blue, nothing but dark skies loom over you. There's always lightning curling in the distance and thunder. It's become a normality around you. It's sort of as if there's always a storm brewing, but with no follow through. And no matter what continent you hail from, Uspia or Izul, you see this happening. It began to happen first in the continent of Uspia, but it slowly spread across as if a blanket covering the world. And you all know rumors of what has caused this darkness and this constant feeling of dread that sort of follows every person, because this is a stark difference to the world that you lived in before. And the rumor that goes around is that Thorazadon and his believers are rising to power again, that the Chained One has become unchained, and this cult, children that he had sired years before, are of age, and he's reaching out to the strongest among them in order to, rise up again, and in order to defeat these people who had chained him years before, centuries before. So while the sky looms over you black, the world does continue to turn, though, because life must go on regardless, and no one's really been hurt by this that's happening yet, but the world has to keep going. So we start in the large city of Newark. It's on the continent of Izul, and a year before, it's almost as if this curse had been lifted off of the town. a man known by the name of Juden Kiln had sort of cast this spell on everyone in the town in order to help himself rise up to power. He did this trade of magic and goods and sold children to wealthy couples because that was the life he had always known. It had happened to him, and he continued this cycle of taking children who were sold to him by poor families, not exactly knowing everything that would happen, that they'd never get their child back. But he's dead, and Newark has had time to recover. And though the city seems to be thriving, it's a pretty well-sized city, about 75,000 people. It's a port city that holds ports for both sea and sky ships. And there's a very thriving business district there. And it seems to be getting back to normal, but underneath the surface, as with all cities, there are rumblings and whispers about certain activities happening in this city. The spread of necromancy, the spread of dark magic, the spread of people going missing and never coming back again. And because this city has easily succumbed to the spell once before that charmed them, nobody really knows what could happen against this power. So, what I wanted to go through and ask each of you is how you ended up in the city of Newark. And we can start with anyone if anyone wants to volunteer. If not, I'll just call on someone.
I think I have the easiest answer for this.
Okay.
Wednesday actually grew up in a village that is sort of just outside Newark and went to study the art of bardistry in Newark itself. So, yeah, this is where Wednesday lives. Wednesday has lived here and has been studying for a little while.
Nice. So already we have something new. We've established there's a Bardic College in the city of Newark. Is it a well-known Bardic College? Is it one that's like that hipster college, across the river? Like how? What is this college?
I like the idea that maybe is there a town fairly close to Newark? Is there another big city? What's the biggest
there
nearby?
is the biggest city nearby. It's between two. There's two that's on the road to Newark. One called Baywood, which was once a small village. It was sort of a waypoint for travelers to pass through. It was recently destroyed. There was a source of power in a wizard's tower that no one really knew about. It was a clockwork type of city, and when some things happened, it was destroyed. The city has been abandoned ever since. Closer to Newark, as you continue down the road to get to Newark from Baywood, there's a gnomish village called Lavelian. It has about 500 inhabitants. It's about 8 hours up the road from Baywood, probably about a day's visit from Newark. And it was also destroyed a year before by Juden Kiln's men in a horrible fire, but it's begun to rebuild.
So I was going to suggest that maybe the College of Newark and College of a nearby town had a very intense rivalship. But maybe it's more interesting if there had been an intense rivalship between these two colleges, but that sort of died down and nobody really talks about it anymore because the place got destroyed.
I like that. So there was a college in Baywood. Awesome. Okay. And yeah, it's been left abandoned and destroyed. This city is a ghost town for about over a year and a half now. It happened a well time before. And yeah, I think that works, that this college was abandoned when the power basically left the city. They have no source of power now. There's no one there. So yeah, that works very well. What about you, Salem? How did you end up in Newark?
Salem is pulled to Newark by a feeling, something pulling his heart towards Newick. That's how Salem gets his reputation as this kind of wandering priest. He doesn't know what God he believes in. He just knows that there is some force driving his actions. He knows that he wants to comfort the dead and the dying. And he knows that whenever he gets one of these feelings that pulls him towards a specific location, it is mostly because there's somebody in need of him there.
I like that. And I think that works very well with people disappearing and turning up dead in this sort of city. Sort of in the city that no one has an answer to, so I can understand Salem wanting to maybe find some kind of answer to whatever's happening.
He's a very Salem's an enigma. He is known for giving last rites, but he's also known for showing up naked in bars and towns, just wandering the night, you know,
as one does.
In the buff. As one does.
As one does.
He doesn't know what happens. He just says he woke up and he just doesn't have any of his clothes on, and he has this insatiable hunger when he wakes up after that moment, and he goes to the nearest place to get food, and it's the tavern. And they always have a room for him at the tavern where he can always go and find his clothes just lying on the bed.
There is actually this could be something you include. There is a well-known tavern in Newick called the Happy Demon, who is bartended by a woman called Shaban. And she's not a very welcoming, happy person, but I think after a while she would probably get used to Salem showing up and always have a sort of room ready in her her area for you.
Wonderful.
What about you, Amalia? How are you pulled to? Why are you in Newick?
You just like really tapped into me not knowing what the fuck I'm doing. I think no, I was thinking about it, and I think that probably what happened is someone like, as someone who worships basically the god of petty judgments, I think that probably she went and like was given the task of punishing somebody for some slight she, in my head, is from, I don't know how to pronounce any of these names, is from the big city on this continent.
Emul.
Emul?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. So she's from there. Genasi are often from big cities, if I remember correctly.
It would make sense. It would be somewhere that she isn't out of place either. Emul is a metropolis. It's over 900,000 people there. And it spans miles and miles of territory outside of the big city center. So it would make sense that even if she didn't live in the city proper, like there's a place for her in Emul.
Yeah, well, she sort of like travels a lot. Basically, this is her job, like an enforcer.
Nice.
Of small slights against her goddess, I think.
Okay. So we have someone who grew up outside of the city, lives there. Someone who was pulled there by a force he doesn't know, and someone who's there to just punish someone. What a group!
I mean, here's the thing. It could be for, like, being, like, cursing Jormy's name. You know, like, it could be anything. Not sure yet.
I like it. So, just asking some leading questions. I think it comes to Salem is pulled to Amalia, if that works for both of you. because you're both sort of very, I mean, you're divine. You're divine classes. And I think at some point both of you meet. And I think, Amalia, you have been told by Dorami that, maybe not in so many words, but that in whatever way, you know, you have to bring sort of some peace to this city and the happenings in there. I think you have been told that these cult rumors aren't rumors.
And that's a pretty big fucking deal, because, like, if she wants peace, you know something's fucked up.
And Salem, you haven't been told anything, really, by your patron. You haven't heard anything. But this guy that you've always trusted inside of you has led you to run into Amalia many times in probably situations involving cult whisperings. Never any proof, but it's always there.
I like the idea that he knows who he needs to talk to because the magpie lands on their shoulder.
Okay.
The magpie doesn't have a name, so chat. I'm going to give it up to you.
Don't trust chat. My players are in there.
Go for it. Name the magpie.
Don't trust them. They're going to give you the worst names.
I mean, it can't be as bad as when Wizards of the Coast said, hey, name the scorpion in MTG Arena, and they named it Pinchy McStingbutt, and they have to now make that part of their canon product, that the scorpion's name is Pinchy McStingbutt.
I like it, though. So I think one day you're in the center of Newark, Amalia, and this magpie lands on your shoulder, and that's how you cross paths with Salem. Wednesday, I'm trying to think, would Wednesday be drawn into adventuring on a whim? Or are they the kind of person who has, like, a plan?
Wednesday believes almost fanatically in stories and story structures. So if something were to happen that would get Wednesday involved in something, I think they would immediately go, "Oh, it's me. Oh, I'm the protagonist," and leap right into it. It may well be Wednesday being a bard. Perhaps Wednesday performs at the tavern where Salem starts having a habit of showing up rather unannounced.
I like that. I think, yeah, I think Saban has hired you rather reluctantly. She doesn't pay well, but it's a job. And I think you see this nude man just show up sometimes, and Shaban's behind the bar and just puts her head down every time it happens and gives him some food.
Wednesday's only working for credits here. It's performance credits.
It's internship.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, so I think you hear, Amalia, would you be the kind of person to ask for advice from a bartender about, the rumors happening in town?
Probably. She's social. She's kind of like, I don't know. She's kind of blunt, but like social. So yes, I think so.
I think that's how you hear. That's how you hear Wednesdays. I think you hear Amalia talking about this, and Salem, you're sort of always nearby at the bar. This is what you've been called to. So I think that the both of you hearing this, Wednesday, you don't have a purpose per se in this fight, but it intrigues you. this could be a story.
Always looking for something that might be an instigating plot point.
And I think the more you hear about from Amalia talking, and you live in this city, so you have known about the cults, you have known about the these so-called happenings and stuff. I think you know about Thorazodon, you know about the Chained One, you know history, in more of a, not a historical sense, but or you know, an archonic sense, but this is a story. It's a storybook that you've heard. You've heard about the Chained One as sort of a big boogeyman.
Yeah, I imagine that it's a massive event that has rippled out into the storytelling pretty much throughout the continent. So there will be a whole bunch of songs written about this event that had happened from the point of view of a lot of different people, and it sort of, I guess, got mythologized in the way that big historical events do. So Wednesday knows how it affected the people, maybe not the specifics of the event itself.
Exactly, and I think that's enough for Wednesday. Just knowing you don't need to know the specifics. You know the general parts of it. And the more you hear Salem, the more you hear Amalia talking about it, and notice Wednesday sort of, you know, peeking in, getting closer. I think that's a calling for you. You begin to feel more and more that this is whatever path you're supposed to be on.
Does Amalia believe in predetermination?
I mean, yes, to a certain degree. She believes in, I think she more believes in divine intervention. So less like predetermined and more like, oh shit, that's happening, let me get this in.
I feel like Salem doesn't know what he believes in when it comes to that kind of philosophy. He feels like he's being pulled towards something, and he feels like that's predetermined, but he doesn't. I don't know how he feels about whether or not he was destined to be there instead of being guided there.
Okay.
You know?
Like, I feel like if you guys like met up with her, she would sort of go like, oh, I need to do something and I've been given more tools to do that thing. Like, that's about it.
Yeah, and Salem would be the I don't think the exact opposite. He would be like, I was just put here to do something, and I'm going to do everything I can, and maybe I'll, you know, fire a bunch of buckshot, hope to God one of something hits.
I think Wednesday doesn't necessarily know if things are predetermined or not, but does think that the world runs mechanistically. Like there are mechanisms, narrative or otherwise, that determine how the world works, and if you know them in enough detail, you can predict what's going to happen accurately, whether that's true or not.
Because being a majority, like a majority of our party being divine casters or something to do with the divine, it would be interesting to see where we all stood when it came to free will or destiny.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if you believe in free will, there's no real way you can believe in destiny, like predetermination, because you believe that you make your choices that make your destiny or your fate, instead of having a god choose your beginning and end point. So that works very well.
I love a party of divine casters. So what we're going to do, I believe, is one, I'm going to change something because I just realized it's underneath art, and there's
Was it-
my.
I was about to message you and be like, hey, I don't know if you noticed that your follower alerts is underneath.
Nope, didn't, because I'm a pro streamer. Remember?
No, it's good. It's good. I got you, fam. I got you.
But should be fixed now. We'll see. So I'm trying to think if it would be okay with you. I didn't want to do too many scenes just because we were missing Moth and everything. But if we wanted to get into the scene of the three of you meeting, because we could have a chance for some roles if you wanted to get deeper into the world. And I think the scene is set in the Happy Demon. It's what time of the day or night does does Salem usually roll in?
Oh, the witching hour.
Okay.
Where specifically when Halloween comes from a very interesting Gaelic holiday where the barrier between the spirit world and the real world starts to get thin, and the whole reason why we dress up on Halloween is because we want to blend in with the spirits that are coming over from the other side. The whole reason why we go trick-or-treating is so we can get mooncakes to purify ourselves, and the whole reason why we have jack-o'-lanterns because they're ghost scarecrows. But I feel like in this world that's an actual phenomenon that happens every night at the witching hour. You can find like the best possible necromantic energies being used during this time of night.
That's perfect. I love that. And Shaban keeps the bar open all night for the most part. I think it opens around 3 o'clock in the afternoon, stays open until, way past the witching hour. And Amalia, you are at the bar. I think you're already there. And Wednesday, I would assume you're performing, doing whatever Wednesday does.
At about midnight, I think it's probably just like there are very few patrons left at the bar, so it's devolved into just slowly playing on the flute.
And
just practicing scales, probably.
What you doing there, Wednesday? Oh, I'm just practicing my flute. Okay. All right, that's fine. You know what? You go ahead and do it.
And I think right as the clock turns, the door opens, and you at the bar, Amalia, just hear Saban just have this deep groan in the back of her throat as there's a naked man at the door, just walking in.
Salem is disheveled. He is naked. His chestnut hair is just falling messily all about his face, streaked with gray. Parts of it more white than others, kind of deal. He's leaning on his crook, which is this giant trying to think of a white wood. It's not ash. Birch is a white wood. I think that kind of, it's just as tall as he is. He's about 5'8". The staff is about 6 foot. At the top of the staff, it kind of curves and starts taking this kind of spinal vertebrae kind of shape. And it's all natural. It's not carved into the wood. It's just the way that it was pulled from the tree. Nestled into, as if almost cupping in the crook, is a skull. The skull is carved wood. It is not a real skull. But in one of the skull's eye socket is a nice little gem. And hanging from the very tip of the crook is a censer. Salem comes in and he is heaving as if he had just partied too hard and decided to throw up. He's coughing and he is slowly approaching the bar. If there's any patrons at the bar eating, or any patrons on the at any of the tables, he will stop at their tables, look them in the eye, and say, "Hungry. Food." And he will take their food and begin to just not like if it's if it's like a turkey leg, you know how you would hold it, by the thing. He just messily digs his talons into this meat and just rips it out. The bone falls off and he's just jamming it into his face. Right now he has no concept of manners. He is making his way to the keep, the tavern keep, and looks her directly in the eye and says, "Hungry. Food."
As he's taking stuff from other tables, Amalia's gonna look at Siobhan and go, "If he does that to me, I'll kill him. Right here, I'll kill him."
Siobhan looks at you and she's leaned over on the bar, with her hands gripping it. I think her fists have gone a little paler than she already is. And she's a very distinct, sort of, I would say she's human, but she has very bird-like features. Her hair is pulled back in a very tight ponytail that goes into a braid, and it pulls her skin back as well. And she's very young, but doesn't look it. You would have to get up close to realize that she doesn't have any wrinkles or anything. She just makes herself look older. And she looks at Amalia and just says, "If he does, I'll replace it. This happens regularly." And as you get closer, Siobhan just looks at you and goes, "You're gonna run my guests away." And there's not many patrons in here at all. There's probably 8 people total. So you don't really have anyone to scare away. But she still looks very concerned.
Just imagine, I've got, a turkey leg, and I'm sitting at the bar, and Amalia, as he gets closer, is, limbo leaning backwards. And he's still eating, but, leaning.
Sam looks at Siobhan, and he kind of looks at the patrons. He's confused. She's talking to him as if he knows who she is, and he's like, "Food. Hungry. Please."
Fine. Just sit down. I'll get you something to wrap up in, and some food.
Food, yes, food.
Yeah,
Hungry.
she turns around and tosses what seems to be a potato sack towards you. It lands a little unceremoniously on the bar, but she disappears back into the kitchen.
Though Salem is not showing the best manners right now, his magpie Faustus is, and he is flying in front of his jewels like a little avian sensor bar.
What a good bird.
This poor bird.
He's just flapping. Anytime somebody would get a maybe a little peek, he kind of turns and he outstretches a wing.
Yeah, that's definitely happening, and you get tossed the potato sack. And Amalia, you watch as Siobhan disappears back through these swinging doors. And I think you hear, both of you hear it, even probably you, Wednesday. It's quiet in here, even, with the light flute playing. You hear the clatter of pans and, things beginning to be pulled together in the back in the kitchen.
Salem picks up the potato sack and he looks down at the bird, and he looks as if he's having a conversation with it. He's like, "Food." And the bird doesn't say anything, just looks at him. Clothing. Yes. I am starting to remember. Right. Over. Yes. And he slips the potato sack over him and makes himself a little potato sack tunic. He kind of looks like Kid Link.
I'm trying to decide if this is the first time Wednesday has seen this happen or not. Because if it is the first time Wednesday has seen this happen, the moment that Salem walked in, like, Wednesday continued playing, but they've only played the same note for the last 30 seconds to a minute and a half of Salem staggering through the tavern.
Let's see. I'm going to roll 1d10, and you have seen him do this 3 times.
Okay, so maybe Wednesday at this point holds a little bit more composure, but he's definitely looking away. Continuing to play, but it's just like looking up at the ceiling.
Looking everywhere but toward the bar.
Amalia is the opposite, where she's like looking at him and waiting for shame and not seeing any shame.
Yeah, no, like
Keep going.
he has no idea what's going on. Like, people were probably like kind of looking at him and staring, and he's just standing there as if it doesn't even faze him, because it doesn't. He doesn't understand why they're staring at him. And then he looks at the bird, and then he's like, ah, yes, naked, not acceptable. Right. I'm sorry. Forgive me. And then he just takes a seat at the bar.
It's at the word naked being said out loud, Wednesday is blushing furiously and just trying to ignore it. It was fine. It was fine until Salem said the word naked out loud.
And before he puts on the potato sack, you would notice that there are gashes and scarred over wounds, like things that look like rake marks across his back. If you didn't know any better, you think that this guy was into some real serious BDSM and just got back.
I don't know any better, thank you.
So,
Wednesday is an innocent being.
The most innocent. So after a moment, I think it's a, sorry, I just looked at chat and it was a mistake. After about 10 minutes, it doesn't take long, Shaban comes out, and I think she sits in front of you, Salem, this sort of smaller turkey, some kind of bird, turkey, chicken, really indiscriminate, sort of wing on a plate, and with a bowl of what looks like gruel, porridge, some kind of thing like that, something filling. It steam's coming off of it, so it's at least hot. And looks at you and says, "You really got to stop coming in here like this."
Thank you. He looks over at the bird. Shaban.
That's
And he
me.
goes and he just like digs in. He's eating it just like a beast, just tearing into this dead carcass in front of him. There's no manner. And then he stops, and then he looks at the bird, and he reaches over for a fork, and then he then reaches over for a knife, and then he begins to start cutting into it, still staring at the bird.
Spawn steps away, just sort of gives you a look of apology, Amalia, and then she has this very high-pitched whistle that sort of gets your attention, Wednesday. Honey, you can stop playing. I don't think anyone's. You'll get your. I'll sign whatever. You can get your credit, but I think it's done for the night.
Thank you. Is he okay?
She looks at you and then looks at Salem and goes, I really don't know.
Yeah, this is they don't. I don't know. Maybe this is a good song. No. Okay. Can I pop? What do we do?
She looks at you. She says, if this is for the college, I'll just sign whatever you need, and I'll give you some food for the road.
Oh, well, thank you. Wednesday starts to gather up their instruments and grabs a scroll out of their satchel and makes their way slowly over to the bar where Amalia and Salem are.
Yeah, Siobhan takes it from you, signs it, and says, just give me a minute, I'll get the rest of the porridge for you, and disappears back into the kitchen again, leaving you up at the bar beside a man in a potato sack and this fire genasi.
Hi, I really like your hair.
Thanks, darling. I appreciate it.
It's nice to have something to look at in this situation.
Oh, you're not enjoying the show? I'm enjoying the show. Fascinating, really.
It's not the first time I've seen it before. It gets old. The second, third.
Is it always the same? That's unfortunate. I thought it might be more exciting than that. Ugh.
Yeah, it's pretty much the same. One time he nearly tripped on a chair, but that was about it.
There is a broken chair where he then tripped and smashed through the chair. It's off in the corner. Nobody knows what happened to the chair. They just said that somebody tripped over it, but Salem smashed through the chair.
Do you feel like he's besmirched your honor? Because I could punch him. I mean, that's what I do.
No. Honor already summarily besmirched ages ago. Thank you, but
regrettable. Do you happen to know? You seen any particularly shady characters lately?
Just go down to the docks. What do you want, smugglers? There's a lot going on. It's a big city. I try to avoid it.
You would know these ones. Oh, that's fine.
Mary in the dorms heard rumors about. It's nonsense. It's nothing. It's stories.
I love rumors. I love them. I'd like to hear one. Thank you.
And Salem, you're close enough that if you are listening, you can hear this conversation. Like, it's not the biggest bar area. It's pretty relatively tight. There's no one there besides the three of you now, but, I mean, if I imagine you just sat down wherever you pleased.
The bird, Faustus, hops over to the two of them, and they're just staring at these two. But if you didn't know better, you would think that the little raven is listening in on your conversation.
Is that bird making you uncomfortable? Like it's making me uncomfortable.
Amalia like notices the bird after Wednesday says something and sort of like reaches out her hand like hey bird.
He nuzzles your hand.
Okay, then she's like, this is acceptable. I will gently with one finger pet the bird.
You look back over at Salem, who is just like, food. Food.
Amalia like leans down and is like, so you're the brains of the operation, I understand.
The bird kind of looks over at Salem and then looks back at Amalia. And then it ruffles its wings, but it looks as if it's shrugging.
Perfect. Amalia loves the bird. Amalia's like, this is my favorite bird now.
After a moment, Siobhan comes back out, the door swing open, and she sits in front of you, Wednesday. A sort of very similar to what Salem got, a bowl of porridge, a little bit of meat. Slides a key towards Salem. Says, you probably need to sleep off whatever all this is. And then looks over at...
what does she slide over?
A key.
Oh, a key.
Mm-hmm.
He picks up the key and he stares at it. And looks at the porridge, and then he dips the key into the porridge, and he's looking. And then he looks over at the bird. Door. Key. Door. I'm understanding. Bed. Yes. And he gets up and he looks at Siobhan. Thank you. I'm going to sleep again. And he turns and he walks up the stairs, and you hear clatter as he shoves the key in every door and jiggles it until he finds the one that it opens.
I think there was even a little placard on the key with the room number on it, and he still does it. Which is perfect, and I love him. Both of you at the bar watch this happen. It's a very slow exchange, and Siobhan, when Salem walks away finally, just takes a deep breath and then looks at the both of you. We're open for a couple of more hours if you need rooms as well.
I'm probably gonna I'll have the dinner. Thank you again, Siobhan, by the way. I know it's not part of the deal. I really appreciate it. Yeah, this is how long has that person been doing that?
You tell me, Zippy, how long has Salem been doing this sort of cycle?
About 3 nights. Well, not 3 consecutive nights, not one after another.
Mm-hmm.
There's been, it could go as frequent as a couple days, maybe a week, or like a month. But it's always the same thing. They see him come in late at night, naked. The bird doing its same thing. But Siobhan would notice that it's almost as if the bird is teaching him how to be normal again.
Yeah, she looks at you, Wednesday. A couple of nights. it's not. The first time I just thought there was something a little, you know, but then it happened again, and I feel a little bit sorry for him, but also it's getting a little out of control.
Wednesday leans in a little bit. Are you not worried that this is anything to do with the, you know, the whole dark magic thing?
Amalia's just watching you guys like, uh-huh.
I mean, it could be, but he hasn't been violent yet. Just a little weird.
Not all necromancy is violent, you know. It's just like there have been dozens of ballads written about, you know, peaceful necromancers who were just, you know, doctors who got too enthusiastic.
As soon as you say necromancy, the bird snaps its head over and begins to stare at you.
Okay, I was feeling a little more comfortable about the bird until just now.
Sharp ears, that bird.
Hey, little buddy. Are you?
It squints at you, and then it's kind of sheepish. You said the word necromancy. It doesn't want to come near you.
Okay, all right. You just stay there, friend. I mean you no harm. Is that a thing people say to magic birds?
That's the thing people say in general. I'm sure it doesn't do any harm to the magic bird.
Speaking of, I want both of you here at the bar, Amalia and Wednesday, to roll Arcana checks for me.
Roll
With
20.
my 0 Arcana.
You can track to roll the dice.
I can't do it.
Oh, good.
So Amalia, I think this talk of magic birds, to you more than anything, it's just funny. I think you know there's something up with this bird. It's clearly not a normal bird, but magic, you use magic. You know, you hit things mostly, but you use magic. I don't think, you know if and any kind of magic there is to this bird. You, Wednesday, you definitely get a sense that there's something not normal. This isn't a regular bird. But it's that kind of thing, like in your mind, you know, like it's gonna bother you until you get the answer. Yeah. You definitely know that this bird isn't normal, but it's also, you can't quite get your finger on it.
I think Wednesday is. They have been, the moment they saw the bird, they've been trying to think about what birds have appeared in ballads around Newark, and are just not being able to connect it to the additional image of people stumbling naked into taverns in some sort of trance.
And I think the bird is still just watching the both of you, waiting for any more conversation. But Shaban has sort of stepped away. She's in this process of clearing tables. There are a couple of patrons who are filtering out by now, very obviously drunk. They're stumbling out. Shaban is helping them. But it's getting quieter in the bar. It's definitely coming toward, even though she said that it'd be open for a couple of hours, it's getting much quieter in here.
What Amalia is like sort of leaning forward quietly-ish, as quiet as she is. Like she's not a very quiet person. Um, what what is this dark magic nonsense you were mentioning?
Oh, there's just ever since the sky, people have been on edge, and I think that's a lot to do with it. People are saying that stuff is going down in town, and it's just I don't generally tend to believe it, but it's combined with things like this that make a person wonder.
So, just rumors, no evidence yet that you've seen?
Me, no, no, I'm busy, learning to. Ooh, waves the flute.
Oh, yes, the sky is falling open and you're busy with the flute.
The little magpie sees the flute, and as soon as you pull the flute out, it squawks, but not like the normal caw of a raven or a crow, but it's almost as if it is trying to match the note that you were trying to play. Salem walked into the room.
Well, yeah, I'm learning instruments. Deadlines don't change just because the storm is rolling in for a
Is it
year.
more than a storm?
then as Professor Azar would say, the storm hasn't hit yet. So write down those scales.
As soon as you say scales, the raven starts doing the scales.
Oh, well, that's good. That's neat. That's definitely not worrying at all in any way.
Upstairs, Salem, in your room, are you going straight to sleep? What are you doing upstairs in this room that you found?
I would assume it's his room.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes over and he finds his clothes, his mud brown, like earth colored tunic with the chain vest that he wears underneath it, his pants, all very peasant. There's nothing regal about these clothes. It doesn't look like they're part of any kind of church or anything. There's something that you notice a farmer wearing. Besides the chain vest is an addition that he wears for protection. His long sword is propped up next to it, and then on top of the clothes is a note with the word Salem on it. And underneath, it says, "Yes, you." Salem walks over and he opens up the letter. Then the letter says, "You are Salem. The bird is Faustus. You have a task. There are people missing. You must find them. Salem."
As you open this letter, Salem, I'm sorry, I have something in my throat. I'm dying here. As you open this letter and you're reading through it, Salem, you don't even notice how the room around you, it's not light in here by any means. I think there's probably an oil lamp that stays burning, probably by magical means. You look up from the note and you've noticed that the room has gone dark. And all around you, it seems as if ash, black ash, has sort of begun to form. And the shadows that are around you begin all to coalesce into one that forms largely in front of you into this figure, sort of an androgynous looking shape. Can't really tell if it's, what kind of, it's an indeterminate gender for the shape. But what you see where the face would be is what looks like a screen that plays back what you've done in the past 24 hours in front of you. And you hear this voice that says very simply, "You're on the right path. You just keep forgetting."
Yes. Path. I remember. I am Salem. I help the dead.
You bring them to me.
I bring them to her.
You sort of feel this coldness around you, but it's more of an embrace than anything. It's just not a warm embrace. But it's like it's taking you in, caressing you for a moment, and you just hear, "Don't let them get away." And the room goes back to normal.
Salem looks down. Oh, no. Oh, no. I knew going after that woman would leave me once again without my clothes. Oh, man. All right. This is fine. This is fine. I am going to just go to bed. And he kind of like looks around. But where is Faustus? And then he quickly gets his clothes on and rushes out the door. Faustus? Faustus?
Yeah, the two of you at the bar hear this bumbling down the stairs and hear this voice. A little bit more on point now, a little bit more active and current, asking for Faustus. And the bird looks up in the direction, but I don't think it like moves away or flies. And correct me if I'm wrong.
No. He just kind of like looks over. He gives a little, and then he just kind of nestles. Oh, thank goodness. Faustus, we're going to bed. This is when we go to bed. Yes, it is late.
Amalia looks at the bird like, "Are you gonna put up with this shit?" But doesn't say anything, just looks at the bird.
The bird kind of looks at Amalia like,
So as this is happening, Salem, I want you to roll me an insight check. That good, beautiful bean footage. Roll it for me.
I'm sorry. Me?
Yeah, Salem, insight check.
Okay. What check? I'm sorry.
Insight.
Insight. Okay.
Yes. Awesome.
Let's see. Insight.
Okay.
14.
So with this 14, that feeling, you sort of, it feels like, you're waking up, everything's coming back to normal for you. That feeling toward these two strangers at the bar, that pull that drew you to Newark, it seems as if it's ending there at these two people.
Salem walks up. I'm sorry, but I'm incredibly drawn to both of you.
The blushing is happening again.
Amalia like does a really quick prayer on if she should kill him or like not. Is she any vibes?
You don't feel anything threatening coming from Salem. It's not a threatening statement. It's
No,
very
he's
to the
annoying
point.
her. She looks at him, looks like from the top of his head down to his toes, and then is like, "You're not my type."
I'm sorry, madam, but I am happily married.
She looks at him like, "Why are you apologizing? Why? What is happening? What are you doing?"
I'm drawn to you. I don't know why, but I feel like we are intertwined. Both of you and me together.
Amalia looks at Wednesday like, "Are you okay?"
I'm not normally propositioned like this by people who were, just people.
Yes, I do apologize for my indecency earlier. That tends to happen when I give special last rites. I tend to give the spirit who wants to be put to rest kind of a rebirth before I put them to rest. It requires me to become naked.
Please don't tell me you fuck corpses. Because that's too much for me tonight. And I'd have to leave.
What? No.
That's good.
It is a special ritual that a family may ask. That it is completely natural to go back to one's roots. I mean, we were all born naked. So it's completely normal that they wish to be put to rest naked.
Nothing about you is normal, first of all.
I'm getting that now. Slowly,
Good.
but surely.
I'm gonna go to bed and not talk to you anymore. Either of you. No. And then she's gonna go. Sorry. You're fine. You're just sticking your head in the sand. You're fine. Talking to Wednesday. I'm just gonna go.
Okay. But do you know why people are going missing?
No. Wouldn't mind finding it out. Is that why you're doing all this naked, scratchy, whatever?
No, that is more of personal reasons.
Great.
I
But
don't think that makes it better.
I just that's why I'm here. I hear people are going missing, and if people are going missing, that must mean that they are dying, and if they are dying, then they must be put to rest, or necromancers might do terrible things to their corpses and spirits.
Look, we can try and figure that out. If you can demonstrate that you're still sane in the morning, although sanity is relative, I understand. Don't really trust that you're not going to just go gallivanting off again, doing whatever the fuck it is you were doing.
I will promise you, until our task in this town is done, I will avoid any urge to take on any side projects.
Great. What about you? And then she sort of looks at Wednesday. Interested in finding missing people?
I have lectures tomorrow that I gotta go to, so yes, please. Any excuse.
Excellent.
You're the three of you are having this conversation, and I think as you're sort of Wednesday, your yes, I want to go. You've all noticed that Siobhan hasn't come back yet. Which she was just seeing a couple of drunk patrons out of the tavern. And it's been a pretty decent amount. She should have walked back in by now.
Amalia needs a key to go to sleep. She needs to get a room, so she'll go look for her.
Are you heading outside of the bar?
Yeah, that's where she was last seen, right?
Mm-hmm. What are the other two of you? I mean, you definitely see Amalia standing up to leave.
She'll probably mention, like, where did that person get off to? I need to sleep.
And you go to the door and you step out into the outside, and the streets are dark besides the lanterns that light the lights, the little alleyway. But you don't see Siobhan. You don't hear anything. You don't even hear chatter of patrons that might have walked out.
Can I, like, roll with either perception or investigation?
You sure can. You can roll a perception check for me. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you guys ever feel like you want to call for something, I'm probably not going to fight you on it.
It's an 8, though. I did bad.
I think you listen around, and it's just quiet. It's very strange, and you don't know Siobhan. You don't know, like, how she what she does or anything, but there's nothing around here that even looks as she walked off somewhere. There's a bench that sits out beside of the bar. It's empty, but you don't see anything out of the ordinary here. This is just an alley. Wednesday and Salem inside of the bar. Amalia's walked off. What are the two of you doing?
Salem is looking at Wednesday. So you're a student?
Yeah, been studying here about 2 years.
I was a student once.
Good.
I burned my hands. He shows you his hands that have no burns on them. I remember this one. He points to his hand. I grabbed a hot iron rod with my bare hands to prove that I was a true blacksmith.
I thought that was only a myth.
No, I remember it vividly.
Huh. What other things do you remember? Wednesday pulls a little notebook out of a pocket on the coat, from the coat that they're wearing, and a little quill, and it's just like trying to subtly open it as if they're not having a direct conversation with Salem. It's just like, interesting. Yeah.
There was this one time where I took the girl of my dreams, Charisse, down to the docks, and we had a wonderful...
How do you spell Charisse?
He looks over at the raven, and the raven looks back at Salem, and Salem looks Charice.
Rice. Cool.
Charisse.
Cool. And you took her.
I took her on a wonderful date down to the docks, and we had a conversation, and she pushed me into the water.
Oh, that's good.
It was very fun, very whimsical. I love it.
Yeah. That's good. Whimsy. Oh man, I could tell you some stories about bad dates.
Do you know whimsy? Could you explain that emotion?
Oh, I could play whimsy.
Yes, please.
Sure. And Wednesday unbuckles the loot case that they were carrying and takes the loot up and just like tunes the strings a little carefully and sings a short little song, just 2 verses about what'll be whimsical. It's about a garden gnome named Summershine, and Summershine in the story of the song leaves sees that the child of the house Summershine is in the garden of and leaves them a gold coin to buy some new toys with.
Roll a performance check for me. I have an idea. It's just gonna be a little performance check there, Wednesday.
So that performance. Normal roll? Advantage?
Yeah, just normal roll.
Yeah.
Just straight right now. We're gonna give me a you don't know this song, Salem? You've never heard of it? But it's whimsical as fuck. It is a really whimsical song.
I love that song. It is wonderful. It encaptures the true emotion of whimsy. And he looks over at Faustus. Can you remember the song? And then Faustus looks over at Salem and then looks back at Wednesday, and almost in time with Wednesday's playing starts tweeting out the tune.
Oh, that's a good trick. That's a smart bird.
Oh, he's not a bird. He's my best friend.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Amalia, as you're outside, so you didn't hear anything going on. You didn't see anything. But
I probably do like walk around or like try and walk around.
yeah, I think you definitely walk around and you smell a familiar smell. It's a very fresh, coppery smell. And as you get deeper into this dark alley, and Fire Genasi, you let off a little bit of light.
Yeah,
and
she doesn't really, like, it's not truly fire for hair, but it is kind of glowy.
Yeah.
And all of her freckles are glowy and stuff, so.
And plus you can see very well in low light. It's not as if, you're completely lost.
No, I have dark vision.
Yeah, you're good. You see on the wall this stone wall, what looks to be this long trail of, in your vision, it's not exactly more so than what looks like a black kind of ichor looking, but as it trails down this wall in what looks like someone has painted it there with their hands, you get deeper and deeper into this alley, and you watch as it begins to, this shape that's been drawn begins to form into various spirals, various very crudely drawn spirals, and if you want to try to recognize it, you can definitely roll for it. You could roll either a history or religion check, because you begin to see, as you get deep into this alleyway, this symbol drawn all around you in various sizes in the same kind of liquid.
It's a 12. I have 0 int.
You don't know what it's been drawn in. You have your assumptions. It's a very familiar smell. But you do know that this is the symbol for Thorazodon.
Great.
And as you get deeper into the alleyway, I think you begin to hear this sort of muffled, hushed, gurgly breathing in a shadowed area.
I go faster towards that.
And as you do, you come across the broken down body of Siobhan.
Is she alive?
She looks like she's barely hanging on to life. Her throat looks like it has been cut and crushed. And she's sort of broken up into this form, hunched over. And you see the blood on her fingers, as if she's the one that had drew these images.
Oh, okay. Let's see. Does she seem... So she's like crouched and dying?
That's what you assume. That's what you are seeing straight off as you're coming onto this scene.
Oh, but she also drew the things. Okay, I will try and get low, get not I don't know, not crouch all the way, but get lower and sort of half reach out and just sort of say are you, let me help you. Are you okay?
The hand from her neck grips your wrist so much with a strength, a superhuman strength you wouldn't imagine someone in the process of dying would have. And you see as her eyes that were once green, pupil and all, there's no whites in her eyes, it's gone completely black. And you hear in a voice that wasn't hers, it sounds like a multitude of voices, but coming from this broken woman who's clearly dying, say very simply, he's not coming because he's here.
Great.
And I think every ounce of life that she had in her leaves her. And that's where we'll end it. And next time we play, we will start proper. We weren't even supposed to have this, but you guys are great.
Thanks. Oh my god.
Great.
I'm gonna come back in y'all, while you were having a whimsical time.
We got whimsy inside, grimdark outside. It's perfect. It's wonderful. We got naked dudes and fire chicks. We got bards and birds.
Bards and birds.
It's all very good.
We can go around and say our outros next time we play. We'll have our whole group. We'll do the full 2 hours. But it was great to get you all placed, to get some interesting ideas that I can use. So that was wonderful. We can start with you, reader. just where we can find you, anything you want to plug if you want to, and it's you can say whatever you want to say. I don't care.
You can find me on Twitter at reader_music. You can find my music at iamreader.bandcamp.com or soundcloud.com/iamreader, or on Spotify. If you look up Reader, there are a few readers on Spotify. I am the saddest one. Yeah, that's pretty much all I've got going.
Fun fact, I know Reader and became friends with Reader because he wrote a song for my saddest OTP. That's Reader's job.
I should say that all proceeds from my latest album, In Defense of the Archivist, from, well, currently until the 20th of November, all the money is going to be donated towards a local transgender support charity called Chrysalis. So if you're looking to buy new music, now's a good time to get it.
Rogue, what about you?
Oh God, I don't do anything. You can find me on Twitter. It's Martyr's Daughter. Hopefully everyone knows how to spell martyr. It's hard. I play in a campaign called the Phoenix Fields. My DM on that is Emily, and her Twitter is Runesinger, and she does recaps of it. We also do like little, I'm the only one that hasn't been in a video yet, but we do little videos where we talk about what has happened.
Links are fine if you want to drop links in chat. I forgot to say that, but yeah, you guys feel free to drop links in chat if anything like that you want to link to. Last but definitely not least is our friend Zippy.
I am Zippy Zippo. I am a variety streamer here on Twitch. I also love to play D&D and any game that has any kind of role play capabilities. You'll find me with a bunch of other streamers on like Ark, Survival Evolved, where we just make up little themes, and for a couple of weeks we pretend that we're in this world, and it's great. It's kind of like D&D. So if you enjoy that, come on by. I also do some Magic the Gathering every Friday. We do FNM, where we play with the community, and it's great. I'm also on the Greyhawk channel every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Central, where I play Shallot Wilbur Walla Walla Thaddeus Weatherfield's the Gnome Illusionist. And that's all fun. And you can find me here on the Saturdays in which we go live for the Continental Divide, where I play Salem.
What a great group. I love it. So I'm Katie. I do a lot of things on the internet. You can find me a lot of different places on Off the Table. You can also find me playing on the Greyhawk channel as well on Tuesdays. And I am MC for Monster Hearts on Scraticus channel. We only have 2 sessions left. Things are about to get buck wild. And then tomorrow here, at 11 Central Standard Time, so 12 noon, I will be streaming with some friends, Hearts of Wulin. It's a Powered by the Apocalypse system based on Chinese culture, like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Wuxian drama. I think it's going to be very good. So tune in tomorrow if you're interested for that. I have to remember how to do rating. I'm going to go and do that in just a second. But thank you all for hanging out. This will be up on YouTube later. And we will be back on December 1st. And I think that it is going to be a great game. Thank you all so much for agreeing to play this with me.
No problem. It's awesome.
And yeah, we're going to head over to Anaris' channel where he's playing From Dust, his Dungeon World campaign. It's great. I have a lot of friends in it. And we will see you all later. Thank you for hanging out with us for a little bit tonight. We'll be back on the 1st. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.